This video is brought to you by Yes Athletics. Women's Advanced Nogi Absolute Division. I went into this tournament really wanting to practice some very specific things that I've been workshopping and training, specifically some guard attacks that I've been working on. So we start hand fighting and I'm looking to establish my grips and start to set up my pull. I'm hand fighting for that inside position and then I get to my underhook and then use that to set up my guard pull. I didn't pull exactly into the position that I was hoping for, so initially I tried to sit back up on a wrestle up, but she stuffs me pretty well, so then I go back to my butt for my guard. She is trying to control my legs to start to set up her pass, whereas I am looking to set up my guard attacks. I'm doing a good job of cutting my angles and keeping my knee shield in between the two of us to prevent her from passing my guard. From this position, I am hand fighting with her to try to keep her posture broken down and start to look for my sweep and submission entries and also possibly back taking entries. I have been working on taking the back off of the guard position. Something she's doing well from here is not giving me the opportunity to wrap up my closed guard. Even as I'm cutting my hips and fighting with her hands, she's keeping a very wide base and trying to control my legs to prevent me from wrapping up that closed guard, which is smart. She starts to stand and circle to try to look for her pass. I try to shoot my leg through to try to get to my closed guard, but again, she's doing a good job of preventing me from getting to that position. So I start using my foot to push on her hip and try to create some space so that I can start to sit up and play my seated guard, which I'm able to do, but unfortunately I made the mistake of not keeping my posture aligned properly, and so she's able to start to bully me over. Fortunately, I'm able to recover by getting into this deep half position. She starts to try to look for control of my head so that when I start to come up on my deep half position, she's able to switch to hunting for her guillotine. But I'm doing a really good job of keeping my head and neck position strong and keeping my posture aligned so that she's not able to finish that guillotine. Unfortunately, we roll out of camera view at this point, but I do remember that I was not able to come up with the sweep or the wrestle up off of the deep half, but I was able to escape the guillotine and get back to my guard position. Unfortunately, we were out of camera range for quite a while, so I just skipped ahead to when we're back in camera range. As you can see, I'm back to playing that kind of knee shield position and trying to play my guard. I am able to wrap up my closed guard, and at that point, the ref stops the match to reset us back in the middle, I think because it was a good stopping position and was easy to just reset us back in the closed guard. Once he resets us back in the middle in the closed guard, he starts the match again. We slap and bump and get back to work. I'm immediately attacking her left arm, which was an open elbow, and start looking for my Kimura grip and then use it to pull her down and attack her posture. I'm looking to keep her posture broken down and control her and bring her towards me so I can set up my attacks. She is looking to control my arms and try to posture up so she can try to look for her guard breaks and pass. I start to sit up to try to look for my Kimura or my hip bump sweep, but she has a really nice wide base and is doing a good job of not letting me off balance her. I keep looking for those open elbows and try my hip bump sweep again, but again, she drives into me and prevents me from being able to off balance her. I start to underhook her leg to see if I can start to hit my pendulum sweep, but she is pressuring into me and then postures back up. I'm once again hunting for that Kimura, trying to open up her elbow and look for a grip on her arm, but she's bear hugging me, keeping her elbows tight and her base wide to prevent me from being able to either get my Kimura submission or my hip bump sweep. I continue to hand fight, looking for my grips, and she continues to bury into me and try to keep me pinned down. At this point, this type of attack is clearly not working, so I need to switch up what I'm doing. I go back to hand fighting, looking to get different grips this time and try to break down her posture. And I'm able to catch her when she has her arm across my body, and I'm able to get her in this kind of bear hug position and start to cut my hips out for an angle to either take her back or start to look for my guard attacks. She's pressuring into me just a little bit too hard for me to be able to pop around and take her back. So I start to look for my grips on the arm and start to cut my hips out to try to look for my arm bar. I'm able to get a pretty good position here and bring my shin to the back of her head to start to try to roll her over, and I'm able to get a good grip on the arm, but I'm having a difficult time separating hands, so I decide to switch from going for the arm bar to looking for a grip on the leg and looking for my leg attacks. She is also immediately looking for some counter leg locks, which I'm not overly concerned about. Obviously, you always want to respect counter leg locking, but I do feel like my positioning was a lot better here. Here, I was trying to work for my straight ankle lock off of DOA, and she was trying to toe hold me, I think? I'm not sure. Then she switches to trying to counter ankle lock me. Again, you always want to respect counter leg locks, but I did feel like I had a stronger position here, and I was looking to try to either finish my straight ankle lock or switch it to an Aoki lock. My opponent rolls to try to escape the leg locking position, but I roll with her. From here, my opponent starts to look for a bite on the heel hook, and she actually does get a pretty decent position on my foot. But again, her positioning with her legs was not as strong as it needed to be, and so I was able to detangle her legs and roll to escape the attack. From here, I'm able to use my foot to press on her butt to escape the knee line and then switch back to my own counter leg lock attack, and I get a pretty good bite on this knee bar. But the angle was a little bit awkward and she had really strong legs, so I decided to switch it over to try to look for my heel hook instead. But because she stood up, I'm having a hard time getting to the position that I want, and she's starting to try to slip the knee line. She starts trying to counter leg lock me with a toe hold, but again, I stay strong on my positioning because I just felt like my positioning was a little bit stronger and continue looking for my heel hook. She rolls to defend my attack, and I continue to roll with her to stay on the position. She tries to counter leg lock me with an ankle lock while I switch my heel hook attack to an ankle lock attack. I start to try to roll her over to the other hip to see if I can either create better heel exposure or get to a better leg locking position. My opponent briefly switches to a heel hook attack, but then abandons it and tries to stand up to escape my leg lock attack. I start using my legs to create extension to try to off balance her and put her back on her butt, but the ref decides to reset us back in the middle because we had rolled pretty far off the center of the mat. I forgot to mention that this is an ADCC rules match, so there's only points in the second half of the match, and so far no points had been scored, so he resets us standing. There's short time left in the match, so I'm immediately hand fighting and looking for my takedown from here, and I'm able to hit a duck under and get to a body lock on her back, so she defends by trying to roll and invert for a leg lock attack, and the ref awards me 2 points for the takedown, I believe because I initiated the exchange with a body lock. We keep hand fighting from here. She is looking to finish a leg attack, and I am looking to try to come up. I start to build up my base and look to try to escape this leg entanglement. I'm having a little bit of a difficult time building my base back up, and so since it's short time, I decide to just continue to try to hand fight and then look to try to switch back to my own counter leg lock. But right as I start to get in on my ankle lock, the time runs out and the referee stops the match. Again, because it's ADCC rules, there are no points in the first half of the match, only the second half of the match. So the only points that were scored the entire match were the 2 points for the takedown. My opponent was a little bit upset because she did not understand why I got 2 points for the takedown, which I understand. It was a little bit of an odd situation. I totally understand why the ref made the call that he did, but I also understand why she was a little bit miffed about it. But at the end of the day, that's just kind of how things go sometimes, and you just kind of have to move on to the next tournament. If you like my Nogi kit and my wrestling shoes that I'm wearing here, then be sure to check out the sponsor of this video, Yes Athletics. Yes Athletics makes a wide variety of grappling gear for girls and women. From wrestling shoes to sports bras to Nogi kits, they have got you covered. Be sure to go to YesAthleticsUSA.com and use code Cyanide at checkout for 15% off your order. Thanks for watching and be sure to subscribe.